invocation. Justin, would you be so kind to lead us, buddy?
Yes, sir. Pray with me. Father God, thank you for today, Lord. Thank you for blessing us with the opportunity to come together and talk about our great county tonight. Lord, we pray for your wisdom and guidance as we make decisions that are pleasing to you. Lord, be with those impacted by the storms last week, and pray that you protect those who protect us. Pray these things in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Perfectly said. Thank you, sir. All right, entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
So-
Mr. Foster with a second by Mr. Good. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. The way we do recognition of the public, just in case you haven't been here before, is when we come to the agenda items, we'll actually just kind of let people, raise their hand and we kind of address it that way. That way you get to hear all the information first before you comment, because sometimes when people talk beforehand, their questions are answered a little later, so that would kind of do a little better job, hopefully. Entertain a motion for approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you. And a second by Mr. Foster. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. So approved. I'll do my part real fast, and this is probably where some of y'all want to talk. We've looked at different salaries for a couple years now and trying to do things, especially since the recession, because there were some that got out of whack, and we knew there were different ways that some people were given raises, others weren't. And to try and make it fair, we empowered all the department heads to do what they wanted to with the amount of money we gave them, and that started about a year and a half ago, 2 years. And we've been slowly working that way. What we've found since then, because we don't have an HR department, but also because the elected officials don't necessarily have to do what they're, if we had an HR department, which a long time ago they did, they don't necessarily have to follow it in the sense that it's not binding for them. So we've kind of looked at some different things we could do. One of the ones we did was we found an impartial third party that has done salary surveys before for us. We've got a lot of reference letters on them. They did EMS at one point, and they've done other counties and different ones. There was some discussion about the election office and the salaries. Miss Ashley took the time, they did a study, found some things, we pulled some numbers. The numbers obviously were different between the two, so what we said was we would go to a salary study. If the salary study said that they were overpaid, we'd leave it like it was with the 12% raises we did at budget time last year. If they said they were underpaid, then whatever the difference was, we would pay for it and do that retroactively. It's come back now, and they said they are underpaid. It's about $9,000 based on benefits and things to get them to what the salary study said they should be at. I know Miss Ashley still has some discussion about that and some contention about those numbers. I don't know if she wants to discuss that tonight, or if you want to wait till budget time, which will be about another month or so.
I found out about this, I'm sorry, now I'm like chairman, but I found out about this afternoon.
I don't know if you, well, I was going to say if you want to say something about now's the time.
I'd just rather wait till the budget.
Okay. All right, then.
I do have one thing I want to
Sure.
worry about the payroll, so I don't know if you want to do that now or later.
Go ahead.
All right, just so you guys know, with the one election, we have already 126 days of comp time. That's 1,008 hours. We got 2 more elections, guys. We need people. We've told you we need another person, and there's another person moving from, we've asked to move from part-time to full-time. That's still not going to mess with the kind of help much with the comp time. And the next 2 elections are going to be worse than this one, time-wise. So just be aware that in the budget, there's moving a part-time person to a full-time. And we'll try to rectify it. The last 2 years, we've asked for another person, and each time we haven't been able to get it. The comp time just keeps going up and up and up.
Please be sure, I know you'll come, but, when we do the budget discussions in more than likely April sometime, we'll have the dates. We just invite you to be sure and come again so we can kind of talk about those things. But for tonight, obviously we had said before that if it showed that we were a little bit under, we would make up whatever the difference was. Again, the difference for this part of the year is $9,000. That takes them all the way back to July 1st, which would be the beginning of the fiscal year. Yes, sir?
I'll make the motion.
Yes, sir.
Would
So
you want
moved.
to pass out the handout of where it's going to?
Do y'all want the handout for it?
It sounds pretty clear.
It is.
We said
It's
we were
cut
gonna
and
do
dry.
it, and I think we need to honor
Yeah.
that, so I'll second.
All right, sounds good. Do we have any discussion on that?
But Dave, you've gone through it, and it's, with the, get with the
Yeah, he's
numbers.
got the
both of
number,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a sheet here if everybody wants to look at it. We
I
can
don't
pass
think
it
just
out.
take one.
It shows what positions, which ones we're going to,
What's the total appropriation?
$89.50 with benefits.
And then it kind of defines, it defines who gets what based on the position. Some positions they rated as needed a little bit more than others, so.
Some they said were already at market or something.
Yeah. But rather, just so we understand it, it'll be given to the individual employees that the survey said needed to have those particular salaries bumped up based on their position, so.
And when we calculated their salary based on this, we did include longevity, because that was a question.
Mr. Chairman, I was just gonna say, I agree, we did say we would do it.
Oh, yeah,
And make
absolutely.
up the difference, so
Yeah, oh.
I think.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's that for that part. Now, the second part I was gonna say, this kind of introduced us, a couple years ago, we did some work with the sheriff's department where they were really behind on hiring jailers. And we came up with additional monies and then had savings in different ways because of not having to retrain and some other stuff. Right now, I talked to Sonny today, and they have 155 budget, and they're 24 short right now. And the reason I say that is, obviously, we did a good job back then. I'd love to be fully staffed, but that's a position that does have some turnover. And at the time we were looking at, they were 50 and 60 short, and sometimes even more. So that to say, I think some of the things we've done to address, overall salaries is needed, and I don't think we're done with just them. And I was going to ask that, David and I have been talking about it. I think we need to do a salary survey for all of the county offices that would fall under the county general, and then any of the elected officials that were wanting to do it, to offer it to them also. Obviously, they're not bound by it necessarily, but like it'd be fiscal, IT,
ECC's were.
yeah,
their
law
executive
offices.
committee
Yeah,
requested that today.
ECC's executive committee has asked that they be a part of it.
Finance needs it. We're
Yeah,
gonna
finance, so
start to pay for
there's
elections.
several, the reason I say it is we don't have a number yet, and it would be something that David would need to put out as an invitation to everybody that wanted to do it, and then we'd have a better idea, and we could go with that same company we've used before if we need to bid it out, depending on the size of it, but I'm hoping we can get that done. Obviously, I don't think it'll be in place necessarily before we do the budget this year, but I think in our idea of trying to, say we want to do 5 years operational, 20 years capital for everybody in the county, so we have a good map for the next couple of years. I think this will be a big part of it and helping us figure out who does and doesn't need to be addressed right away, rather than this is just a call apart. Along with that, I'm also going to ask that there's been a couple times this year where some different departments have given raises mid-year. And I'm just going to ask in the interim that we don't do that. And the reason being is just until we have the survey done on everybody, we'll have the ones that are participating, but obviously the ones that we have more authority over and we directly impact, until we kind of have a better roadmap. And the reason I say that is sometimes in the past, that's how a lot of the salaries got out of whack, was someone would use part-time and then try and fill that part-time later and different things. And so we've been trying for the past couple of years to make sure we stick with that. So I've seen one or two starting to pop up. We've addressed it with the department heads when it came up, so. But anyway, my motion would just be that we do a survey, offer it to anybody that's interested, and then once we get the total number, we come back with to bid it out.
Second.
David?
If you actually read the salary survey, that's something that was pointed out, that there's a lot of inconsistencies in our salary across the board.
So, but that way, anybody's offices that wanted to be involved, we could. So, and I think it also, and I'm not picking on her, but there's some positions that probably need to be reclassified. Again, we don't have an HR necessarily to do that. Like I'll use Miss Ark as an example. I know initially when we first got on the commission, she wrote grants. Since then, she's been tasked with bidding out things, and she's got a million different other things that we've kind of lumped onto her, or Anthony's office had to do. That's an example of somebody that may need to be, their whole position of everything they do, reevaluate and actually see if they're in the right job classification or if it needs to be redone. But especially for like finance that hasn't asked for anything for a couple of years. So. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. I'm done with my part, Mr. Mayor.
I think you're on a roll, Mr. Chairman.
I need to
And so I'm good unless you got any questions about anything on here. Oh, yeah, that came from the comptroller's office. I wanted you all to have its links, and it gives you some insight on good budgeting. And so I just thought it's something you might be interested in, and so I wanted to make you aware of it. And
Just to put it in the
time,
minutes.
during the budget process, it might be helpful in your deliberations.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, David? Are you ready?
Item A is not here tonight because we're actually incorporating that into the budget drafts you're gonna receive shortly. So item 2 is the cash flow analysis that the comptroller's office has requested that we send to the county commission. So I'm asking this committee just to pass it on through as a report. I don't think you would actually need a vote just to pass it
It
through as a
doesn't.
report.
Do
Okay.
you want it put in the packet for the commission?
Yes.
And it looks better now that we've helped Miss Judy with the other stuff.
Hopefully. But inflation's still pretty high in concrete, but. And then the other one's a financial statement, memo just pointing out that all the financial statements will be on the website by the night of the county commission. And that any commissioner that would like to have a copy, we can send you a copy, but they can easily be printed in PDF form off the website. And item D is to mention budget hearing. We anticipate having the budget first draft somewhere between April 15th and May 1st. May 1st is the deadline. This is usually the meeting where you start setting the budget hearings.
And just as a FYI for us, I know we've been waiting on the CTAS study for a lot of the volunteer fire. They're still not done. So they thought they were done, and then Mr. Kruger checked with them to make sure they included the municipalities that also service our county, and they didn't realize that. Apparently, and this is the third person that's been assigned to, which I think that may have something to do with it. But, so they're hopefully gonna have that done. If not, we do have what Justin and Ms. DeWitt and everybody did, which was for the nonprofit stuff. So we've got that idea. That'll help a little bit more for, give us a little more structure when we budget this year, rather than just doing whatever, so. Old business, corn barn be moved to next month. Obviously, we're still waiting on some finalized answers to make sure everything's right.
Did you want to set any budget hearing dates, or did we want to do that?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. let's
If we do it
that.
in April, then sometimes that kind of conflicts with a lot of the commissioners for
Yeah.
the May month.
Have you got some dates in mind, David? I was supposed to text.
No, I'm
Mr.
pretty.
Witt.
Our regular meeting's on the 11th, so if you want to have all days, you probably wouldn't want to do it. On
How do-
one, we're going to have an evening either.
How do y'all want to do it? Like we've done in the past, over 2 different days.
I thought last year went well.
Is it okay, David?
Yeah. If you want to do it maybe the first week in May, that way you could, on the 11th, we could try to have a draft back to you.
May 11th?
If we had like the first week of May, which is the week of May 4th through the 8th, then any of the changes we made that week, we could have back to you by the 11th.
Okay. Is that
Okay.
comfortable? Is everybody comfortable?
So what are we looking at, May
I'm out of
5th?
town Monday, Tuesday, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I can.
May
if I
5th, they
miss
go
it, I
tomorrow.
miss it.
Oh, we can face it.
I was joking if you wanted.
I mean, I don't care.
You want to do like maybe May 4th and 7th, or
May 4th and 7th.
do you want to split them up
I'll
more?
check with Mr.
That would allow us to have a draft back hopefully by the 11th.
Did we do afternoons last time, or we did mornings?
You've kind of done both.
Yeah.
We did like, the first one you did in the morning, and then the second one you did the second half of the day, I believe.
Yeah.
Did it start about 1 maybe?
Yeah, that's what we did on the second time. So the 4th would be the morning one, the 7th we'd start in the afternoon.
Huh?
Last year, it was the 11th and the 18th, and they were 8:30 to 4:30 is what I have.
For both of them?
The 4th is your first Monday meetings, so you're gonna have EMS, education, and general ops. You're going at 5, so just remember that.
Are we getting, there's some other, Deanna has a conflict on the 7th. So,
But the 6th, well, that's Wednesday, some people go
Yeah.
to church.
well, do we want to do the next week then? If
Well,
that's what
we're
we do?
out before church on Sundays, on Wednesdays.
That's true, the 4th and the 5th maybe?
No, because then I miss both days.
Oh.
She's only missing one.
That's okay.
I don't want to miss both
If you want us to-
days.
Are you back Thursday, Friday?
Yeah,
Maybe she's back Thursday,
How
Friday.
about the 4th and
Yeah.
7th?
we already said that. It doesn't work
Yeah, the
with her.
7th won't work.
Why don't we just not worry about trying to make it 12th and 14th?
Okay, 12th and 14th, because that takes us to the week after most of graduations too, doesn't it?
12th and 14th.
Yeah.
That works.
And we can just email a draft to everybody.
Do you want us to go ahead and notice that, or wait till a little bit closer to the meeting?
I would say if everybody in this room's okay with it, we should notice it now, and that way we can,
Got a meeting in the morning and the 12 black can come after that.
Okay, you're fine.
Okay.
Okay, 12th and 14th, right now tentatively 8:30 to 4:30.
We all good with that? You good?
I can only be in that afternoons.
That's okay. Get it rolling. Deanna said she's good on both those, so I think that's, as long as we've got 11 people. That still give us time for everything to be wrapped up, David?
Mm-hmm. We can email everybody a copy and we could hand, because the 11th, the night before, would be your regular budget meeting, so we could hand you hard copies that night.
Okay.
A
So
little
May-
close
That's a good
in, but
idea.
we could email you copies and hand you the hard the night before and let you have it if you wanted them.
So May.
That's a good plan.
All right,
It's
so
gonna be
May-
so late, are you really gonna want them? Or should we just hold it for you the next morning?
I'd hold it. I mean, no one's gonna sit here all day long and go through it that night.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. We'll just give it to you on 12th, 14th.
Okay. All right, so.
I mean, Justin
May-
might, because he's a numbers guy, but
May 12th and 14th then? Everybody's comfortable with that?
Okay, I'll get the notice out.
Thank you. All right. And David, we're reiterating to everybody again, the 5 and the 20.
Yes, we haven't received a couple of them, but we'll send out an email.
Yeah.
to ask for
Plenty of
those.
time to
And
get it.
we received all the budgets but one, and this is a department that's always sent them on time. I said they're having some difficulty, so I'm just asking the committee to allow me to amend it on in that one department, because they've never been late before.
sounds good.
Sounds good. All right. So if we're good on that, then we'll go to new business.
Motion to approve A12.
Yes, sir. Do I have a
I'm
second?
sorry, 2 is information only.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
I just feel some more ayes, so,
On the appropriations, can you announce that the
Carry
pass-throughs
on.
or the unanimous will only require one reading?
okay. Yeah, it's under, again, just so we understand that anytime it's unanimous, that's required just one reading that we're moving through.
Or
with
pass
that.
through.
Yep. Thank you, David. That was approved. For B, entertain a motion for 1A and B.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Now B2, the Portland Library. This is just a grant for them to get data processing. I said I couldn't do that with the other, so.
Motion.
A motion and a second. Motion's by Ms. Shell, second by Mr. Foster. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, good deal. All right, number 3 is where Lee is asking for a magistrate. What it is 2 years ago, or a year ago, we got rid of a part-time and gave raises their salary. So if they have to do more work, the idea is their salary, so they're kind of stuck with. The problem is, she's got 8 right now. 2 are going to retire in December. Without breaking hip it, there's some that are struggling to do more than 40 or 50 just based on health conditions right now. So they're not able to necessarily meet the full requirements, but it's kind of, that work's being split up among other people, so that's okay right now. But the problem is, when 2 people leave in December, it takes about 8 months to a year to have them trained up. So if we don't hire one now to start training for the 2 that are leaving, then we'll be really in a pickle when it comes around, because we'll be down to 6. She's asking that we that she be allowed to hire now, so it'd be about $21,000 for the rest of this year, with the idea that when the 2 leave in December, the salary recoup from December to July will make up for the.
Right, we won't,
We won't be
We
over.
won't be rehired.
We started it with Mr. Holt's office when we brought Maggie in, and I think it's something that it makes sense. Most places either have a succession plan or they cross-train. So since we can't cross-train necessarily in this.
So moved.
And then also, again, this is a group that will be included in that salary survey too. So,
Second.
yes, sir?
Oh,
Oh,
Mr. Coon made a motion.
all right, do we have a second? All right, any discussion for it? Ms. Dim, did you need to say anything? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Shows passed unanimously. The next one is, it's an IT updates a contract on a 3-year contract. That's why it's coming through us, because it is a 3-year contract. What this is gonna do is it's gonna replace 2 lines that are for juvenile right now, one of them being an older cable analog line, or cable line. I don't wanna mess up the terms. This will make it a lot faster, and there will be some savings in the long term over the course of the contract, just compared to that. But again, anything that obligates us past year, we need to vote on, so. Did I cover that right?
It needs to go into the commission to approve.
Yes.
Yeah, full commission. So, and Mr. Carey will be there that night if we have any questions. If we got one now, I can call him, so. I so move. Thank you. All right. Any discussion? Any questions? All right. Motion was by me, second by Mr. Foster. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, passed unanimously. Next one is transfers. David?
The only thing that would be questionable is there is a transfer for a salary that's not annualized. And there's also been the discussion of the salary survey. So on page 105, the library's asking to move $2,607 for what it costs the remainder of the year. So if that happens, you're guaranteeing the additional funds next year, which is something the committee has historically not approved. Or mid-year changes if they know about them. But otherwise, there's nothing else in there that,
Discussion?
So it's $3,000?
well, it's 2607, but they're wanting to raise the salary from 31,390 to 37,728. So it's only part of the year. Plus, as I'm saying, if we're discussing a salary survey to get consistency back, there's probably something you'd want to survey on. So you're gonna have, so there are 2 things. One, it would guarantee to come up with the difference next year, and number 2, if we're
It
gonna do a
puts them at a
survey.
budgetary loss right off the bat for next year, where they're gonna have to figure out a way to come up with the difference in salary. Because she has it, yes ma'am, go ahead.
Well, actually, I have two.
You can go right, come on up and, yeah, no, you're fine. Just introduce yourself and
I'm
then.
Sally Reed, I'm the director at the Portland Library, I'm new. And we have 2 janitors that are actually on staff, they're not like a service. And one of them has been cut their hours because all they did was vacuum. And it just, they didn't need 10 hours a week to vacuum. So that's $3,000 of it. And one of our part-time people left, and when we replace her, we probably won't replace her with as many hours as she had, or maybe as much money. So we will have a little room to wiggle with.
Okay.
Still, it's one of those non-annualized salaries. You'll have to come up with the difference.
Has it been discussed to waiting till budget
Huh?
hearing? Can it not wait till budget hearing?
Well, that's what I was gonna, ma'am,
I wasn't gonna give her any, like, if you guys approve a wage.
well, the only reason, we try not to ever do this in the middle of the year, just because sometimes it can throw other salaries off skew.
Sure.
Is it something that could wait until July 1st, when we have, and the reason I say is you would come in and where we talk about May, present it, say, here's where I'm making the savings to make it. We discuss it then. If we approved it, it'd be effective July 1st. Is that gonna put you in a lurch?
No, I just wanted to, show her the appreciation she deserves.
Yes, ma'am. Does anybody else have any questions for her real quick? All right, I'm gonna ask that we hold off on this until we can get to budget. Just because it's kind of, again, one of those things that we've tried to not historically do.
Mr. Chairman, can I
Yes, sir.
just say something? I just want to say to her, especially since you said you're new, that one of the reasons that we've never tried to do that is the second we do it with one office, every other office has a reason on why we should do it with them too. And it's the catalyst of my request. Why'd you do it for them? So, May's gonna be here in no time. I mean,
I do appreciate you taking the time to come and tell us. And please be sure to
Guarantees
do the
funds that may
same
not be there.
in May, because that'll make the difference, so.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir?
did someone make a motion?
No, we didn't.
Okay, I'll make a motion unless this particular one issue, 1AB.
Yes, sir. Second? Second by Mr. Foster. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, sounds good. Passed unanimously. Tax refunds. Anything weird to say? Make a motion to group and approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, last one. Yes, sir. All right, sounds good.